Welcome back to the neighborhood. My name is Dylan, and today I'll be talking about Palworld. I am a sucker for a survival game. I started with Minecraft way back in the day and was hooked by exploring the world and collecting resources to increase your character's power and the items and technology you can craft. Since then, I've dabbled in a bunch of survival and crafting games, some of which I've loved and sunk loads of hours into, and others that I've bounced off pretty quickly. Recently, I've been playing around in Palworld, the legally distinct Pokemon survival game. Developed and published by Pocketpair, Palworld hit early access on January 19th and has seen a ton of success, exceeding their expectations to the point where they needed to have emergency meetings to make sure they had the server capacity for everyone who was clamoring to play. But how does it play? As I loaded into the game, I was reminded of games like Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring, filled with interesting looking locations off in the distance just begging to be explored. But before any of that, an NPC had to help me catch my first pal. Similar to Pokemon, you want to weaken your opponent first, but instead of commanding your fire salamander to do it in a turn-based battle, you take a club and beat a cat, a sheep, or a chicken over the head until it's weak enough that it doesn't immediately break out of the spear that you throw at it. Once I collected a few pals, the tutorial walked me through setting up a base. I appreciated the guidance, as some of these types of games just leave you to figure it out, which I imagine could be a bit frustrating for people unfamiliar with the genre or when there are mechanics that aren't explained. For example, part of the tutorial was setting up a hot tub for my pals so they could de-stress after a day of work, something I definitely would have overlooked until my pals were in open rebellion. I bounced back and forth between building new parts of my base and venturing out to collect the resources I needed to continue. On these trips, I would stock up on a bunch of Pokeballs so that I could collect the new Pokemon I began to see as I got a little further from my base. I was also on the lookout for types that I had already caught, because you earn an XP bonus when you collect 10 of the same pals, helping you level up and unlock new items and buildings. Each pal specializes at different types of work, so you'll need to diversify in order to get your base up and running. A majority of your time in the game will likely be spent doing this loop, though there are some other fun things that you can check out. The comparison to Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring was apt, as the open world exploration is definitely heavily inspired by them. It borrows the stamina-based climbing from Breath of the Wild, letting you climb cliffs to reach new areas. You also unlock a glider early on, allowing you to jump off of said cliffs and sail safely down to the ground. As you explore, you'll come across open world boss pals patrolling a set area, caves that you can explore and collect rare resources and pals from, and what is basically an Everjail from Elden Ring, where you fight a boss in a special arena. Dotted around, you'll also find wandering merchants and little towns where you can trade, or camps you can fight and rescue captured pals from, in addition to your standard open world collectibles. All of this can be pretty fun, especially as you unlock special abilities for your pals, like the ability to use them as a glider, a mount to ride or fly around the map, or sometimes they just turn into a flamethrower or get an assault rifle. All of these things help you with the ultimate goal of finding the boss towers, which are basically the gyms of this game, and challenging their leader. The tutorial takes you through to the first boss fight, and then sets you loose to create your own goals from there. And that's about where I fell off. I am not the biggest fan of Pokemon, so I wasn't being pulled along by nostalgia or a desire to play anything different from the same lazy game they've been releasing since the 90s. I did enjoy getting to see the different PAL designs, but as I explored more and more of the map, I felt like I kept seeing the same ones over and over and over in all of the areas. I wasn't in love with the combat. You do get a dodge, but in general it felt like the bosses at my level were very tanky and did way more damage than they needed, which led to extended fights that lost their charm. I enjoyed a lot of the exploration, But overall, it felt like there was no payoff to it just beyond seeing new places and some new pals. There's one game I haven't mentioned in this video, and that is Ark Survival Evolved. This game, Palworld, is basically Ark, but with the dinosaurs replaced with off-brand Pokemon. Now this isn't a bad thing because I love Ark, but that's the problem. The entire time, I found myself just wanting to go play Ark instead. I will cut it some slack because it just launched in early access, so I assume they'll be refining and adding to the world, the pals, the systems in the game to improve the overall experience. That said, I did have fun with it, and look forward to seeing what they continue to do over the next few years. As is, I'd give it a C compared to the other survival games I've played, but if you're a fan of Pokemon, I think you'd probably enjoy it a little bit more than I did. It's also on Game Pass, so if you're subscribed to the best deal in gaming, I'd definitely say it's worth checking out. Have you played Palworld? What did you think of it? Let us know down in the comments. If you found this video interesting, consider leaving us a like or subscribing to be notified when a new video goes live. If you want to hear me and my co-host talk more in depth about games, check out Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. With that, I'll leave you with a reminder to stay friendly, gamers.